Let's go live now to Nathan Daschle. He's a Democrat lobbyist and CEO of DB3 by the Daschle Group. I think it's prudent to pause on that moment that we saw at the White House just a few hours ago, posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom. That is Charlie Kirk. We also have that comparison to what's happened to Josh Shapiro as well, Nathan.
Yeah, I 100% endorse the president's actions in awarding the medal posthumously to Charlie Kirk. This is an issue where we can easily set partisan differences aside, and we all agree that violence in political discourse has no place. And whether it's against Democrats or Republicans, I think we can all agree. And I will say that while social media will occasionally pull out the outliers on the left in the Democratic Party who might take issue with this, the vast majority of Democrats will absolutely agree with this and think that they will absolutely condone Charlie Kirk's assassination and support awarding him posthumously this Medal of Freedom.
In this world, in 2025, the rise of social media and it being so dominant in our lives, you can't ignore the outliers anymore. Even if they are a small group, they are amplified. What do we do with those outliers, do you think, Nathan?
Well, that's the thing. They're amplified, but we have to keep them in context. You know, social media, and I hear this from both people on the left and the right, that social media rage baits people. And people, once they start to engage on a subject matter, social media will continue to reinforce that. And they will show them images, videos that will engender that rage. And what's imperative for all of us is to keep all of this in perspective and to think critically about the information we receive and to understand that the people who are making the most noise are in the distinct minority on both sides of the aisle.
I find this really interesting because these are American companies. We know how much influence the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musk, the Sam Altmans of this world have on the White House. Not just the Trump White House, but I think on politicians across the board. Why aren't they being put under pressure over this rage bait?
Well, it's a good question. I think that the fundamental tension in the United States is how much the government should be interfering with private sector activities. I mean, fundamentally, the social media companies are private sector activities. And in the United States, we generally have a tradition and a viewpoint that the government should stay out of business. And there are exceptions, and there are times when the government should intervene. But I also believe, and I'm sort of the libertarian part of the Democratic Party, but I do believe that there is a responsibility of all of us as consumers of information and as citizens to be critical of the information we receive.
Yeah,
and
sure,
to not
but Nathan, in many ways we're being manipulated and it's not the user's fault. If you click on something and then the algorithm is feeding you more of that. You get a skewed view of the world. So I agree with not interfering with business activities, absolutely. But at what point do we say, well, this is not actually freedom of speech. This is freedom of speech being manipulated?
Well, there's a good question. I don't think there's an easy answer. The Biden administration tried to deal with this, and they got criticized from the right for censorship. Right now, there's less pressure on the social media companies, but as we see the outcome, and I don't know where the line is, but I do know people on the right and the left who have recognized that they've been sold a false bill of goods, that they're being shown propaganda, social media propaganda, and they can resist it. And I think there is some responsibility on the citizenry to be vigilant about the information that we consume.
Absolutely. That took a turn. I didn't expect it to talk to you about that. And of course, I'm not directing these questions at you like you should have all the answers, but I think a lot of people are asking these same questions at home. But let's talk about peace in the Middle East. I think that is wildly optimistic, and we see evidence of how wildly optimistic that is today. But Trump deserves a lot of credit here, doesn't he?
Yes, the short answer is yes. And if we had had this interview yesterday, I would have been even more forceful that those on the left and the Democratic Party should come out and really congratulate him in an earnest way and say, this is a job well done. You achieved something that President Biden was not able to do, that others weren't able to do. And it is something that deserves our appreciation and our accolades. Now, today, there have been some developments that remind me that the devil is in the details. And the one thing I would say, I still think President Trump deserves our credit and our accolades for the work that he has done. But I do think that the devil's in the details, and he still needs to be vigilant to make sure that that as this deal unfolds, that it goes the way that we envision it. You know, Hamas. I just read before this interview, Hamas has killed 33 people since the ceasefire was announced. So we're not there yet. And so while we should acknowledge the hard work that has been done, we shouldn't celebrate yet because we're not there quite yet.
No, we are not. We need to celebrate the small wins, and this is certainly a small win. But you're right. We showed that terrible footage of the infighting, essentially. Yes. Hamas executing members of, residents of Gaza they saw as, colluding with Israel, essentially. And there's been infighting with rival groups now. So I think we can see plenty more of that on the horizon. Nathan, we'll have to leave it there today. We'll see you soon.
Great. That was great. Thank you so much.